do you assess the three-match series, I suppose, as a whole?
I guess disappointing, but we have to find some positives in there somewhere, and I think there has been some. We've been competitive in phases and managed to push them a bit, which is positive, but I think we have to be realistic as well that, like I said earlier, we're playing a group of professional players, and I think we've got a little bit of work to do back home to ensure that we keep up with a group that's got full time to be able to train and play.
Lisa Stalaker mentioned you guys may not be playing another series until January next year, is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. So we don't have another series till South Africa back home in January. So I guess it gives us an opportunity that we haven't had for probably 3 or 4 years to have a winter at home. And I think Alyssa Healy alluded to it earlier that she'd had an opportunity to be at home, work on her skills, and I guess it's shown in the form that she's had. So hopefully we can, do the same thing over this winter with our group of players.
Does the earlier WBBL change things for you? How does that sort of shape your preparation and that sort of thing?
No, I don't think so. I think it probably works in a good way, and we've got a few months to be able to, like I say, get into the nets and really hone on a few things, and hopefully a couple of people will head over to the Care Super League as well and give them a couple of opportunities, and then hopefully, like you say, a few will come over to the WBBL, and I think it'll be really good preparation leading into the World T20 in February, I think it is.
Obviously, spending the winter training at home is a good thing, but so is playing matches. Is it a bit hard to look at that big gap between games when there is a world tournament in a year's time?
I think that's something that we've got to assess. I think obviously we're going through the review at the moment. We've got the coaches having to reapply for their jobs, so we've got a bit of water to go under the bridge in the next sort of couple of months, and then we get to kind of really see where we're at, lay out our sort of platform and what that's going to look like over the next few months, and whether there's some inter squad games as well in there to ensure that we are getting that game time and time in the middle. That's some things that I think we've got to look at.
Having recently seen the world the rest of the teams at the World T20, how does this Australian team stack up right now against India and England and all those teams with the T20 World Cup coming up again next year?
Yeah, they're a quality side. I think they've shown that across probably the last 12 months. They probably had a disappointing, I think it was 2017 exit from the World Cup, and I think since then they've really looked at themselves and tried to adjust their game a little bit, adjust how they play, and I think they're starting to feel like they've got that formula going pretty well. But I think it's like any team, you can have whatever team on paper that you kind of have, but at the end of the day you still have to perform, and I do believe that any team in the world is beatable on on a given day.
How are you finding the captaincy? How's that been for you, I suppose?
A lot better in the last wee while. I think just being able to perform on the field has helped. It's always what I want to do, is lead from the front. I think the stint coming over and captaining the Renegades really helped just get back into the flow of things, and I've really enjoyed the last sort of few weeks with the Indian series and coming over here.
Would you like to see Cricket New Zealand take a few, leaps up Australia's book in terms of the domestic setup and how professional that's getting in Australia now? Do you think that's something that needs to develop in New Zealand if you guys are going to be able to compete regularly with Australia?
Potentially. I think we've got to look at a priority list and what is critical to get done at the moment. We've got a World Cup coming up at home, in sort of 2 years' time from now, and so we've got to make sure that we've got the investment right into our top kind of whatever that looks like, whether it's 15 to 20 sort of players, and ensure that they can get the amount of training and playing that they need to be at the best that they can be, to give us every chance of winning that World Cup. And then we've got to look at probably the next step of our domestic structure and ensuring that then we give it some longevity moving forward to have the depth that we need to maintain that.
What did you make of Rosemary Mayor's first international ODI series?
I thought she did really well. I think she's probably learnt a lot from this trip. I think the pleasing thing for me is you have conversations with her, and she seems to get a lot of it, which is awesome. She just seems to understand it without you having to tell her too much, and she keeps coming back regardless of if she goes for a little bit of tap or she's bowling well. So I think, like I said, I'm sure she would have learnt a lot from this tour and can take that back over the winter, but some really promising signs.